A chatbot has passed a critical test for human-like intelligence. Now what? Zena Assad from The Conversation reports, there have been several headlines over the past week about an AI chatbot officially passing the Turing test. These new reports are based on a recent preprint study by two researchers at University of California, San Diego, in which 4 large language models, LLMs, were put through the Turing test. One model, OpenAI GPT-4.5, was deemed indistinguishable from a human more than 70% of the time. The Turing test has been popularized as the ultimate indicator of machine intelligence. However, there is disagreement about the validity of the test. In fact, it has a contentious history which calls into question how effective it really is at measuring machine intelligence. So what does this mean for the significance of this new study? What did the study find? The preprint study by cognitive scientists Cameron Jones and Benjamin Bergen was published in March but has not yet been peer-reviewed. It tested 4 LLMs, ELISA GPT-4o, LLM-3-1-405B, and GPT-4.5. The test consists of participants completing 8 rounds of conversations in which they acted as an interrogator, exchanging text messages with 2 witnesses simultaneously. One witness was a human and the other was an LLM. Some 284 participants were randomly assigned to be either the interrogator or the witness. Participants were required to interact with both witnesses simultaneously across a split screen for 5 minutes, with a test interface mimicking that of a conversation, a conventional messaging interface. Following this interaction, they decided which witness was a human and which was an AI chatbot. Participants judged GPT 4.5 to be human 73% of the time, and LLMA 3.1-405B to be the human 56% of the time, and 2 other models, ELISA and GPT-4, only fooled participants 23%, 21% of the time, respectively. What exactly is a Turing test? The first iteration of the Turing test was presented by English mathematician and computer scientist Alan Turing in 1948. The paper entitled Intelligent Machinery. It was originally proposed as an experiment involving 3 people playing chess with a theoretical machine referred to as a paper machine, 2 being players and 1 being an operator. In 1950 publication, Computing Machinery and Intelligence, Turing reintroduced the experiment as an imitation game and claimed it was a means of determining the machine's ability to exhibit intelligent behavior equivalent to a human. It involved 3 participants. Participant A was a woman, participant B a man, participant C either gender. Through a series of questions, participant C is required to determine whether X is A and Y is B, or X is B and Y is A, with X and Y representing the 2 genders. A proposition is then raised. What will happen when a machine takes the part of A in this game? Will the interrogator decide wrongly, as often when the game is played like this, as he does when the game is played between man and a woman? These questions were intended to replace the ambiguous question, can machines think? Turing claimed this question was ambiguous because it required understanding of the terms machine and think, of which normal uses of words would render a response to the question inadequate. Over the years, the experiment was popularized as the Turing test. While the subject matter varied, the test remains a deliberation on whether X is A and Y is B, or X is B and Y is A. Why is this? Is it contentious? While popularizing as a means of testing machine intelligence, the Turing test is not unanimously accepted as an accountable means, an accurate means to do so, and in fact the test is frequently challenged. There are 4 main objects to the Turing tests. The objections of Turing tests are these: behavior versus thinking. Some researchers argue the ability to pass the test is a matter of behavior, not intelligence. Therefore, it would not be contradictory to say a machine can pass the imitation gene. The game cannot think. But cannot think. And two, brains are not machines. Turing makes assertions the brain is a machine, claiming it can be explained in purely mathematical terms, mechanical terms. Many academics refute this claim and question the validity of the test on this basis alone. 3. Internal operations. As computers are not human, their process for reaching a conclusion may not be comparable to a person's, making the test inadequate because a direct comparison cannot work. 4. Scope of the test. Some researchers believe only testing one behavior is not enough to determine intelligence. So, is an LLM as smart as a human? While the preprint article claims GPT 4.5 passes the Turing test, it also states, the Turing test is a measure of sustainability, whether a system can stand in for a real person without noticing the difference. It implies the researchers do not support the idea of the Turing test being a legitimate indication of human intelligence. Rather, it's an indication of the imitation of human intelligence, an ode to the origins of the test. It's also worth noting that the conditions of the study were not without issue. For example, the 5-minute testing window is relatively short, and in addition, each of the LLMs was prompted to adopt a particular persona, but it's unclear what the details and impact of the personas were on the test. For now, it's safe to say GPT 4.5 is not as intelligent as humans, although it may do a reasonable job of convincing some people otherwise. This is by Zena Assad, Senior Lecturer, School of Engineering, Australian National University, on the conversation by here Creative Commons on Science Alert. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.